So, in this part of the episode, Anne, Marcy, Sprig, and Polly all have a sleepover. They do some pranks on Lady Olivia and other shenanigans. Eventually, Lady Olivia snaps and attacks them. And I don't blame her, she clearly deals with a lot of stress and should get to have apple juice every once in a while. They decide to play a game where one of them has to come up with a scary challenge, and the first ones to fail get their names added to the Book of Losers. Something Sasha created, so slowly we're seeing more and more how Sasha always controlled everything they did. How she would have probably manipulated them into doing it. Which begs the question of whether it was Marcy's idea to steal the Calamity Box or Sasha's. If it was Marcy's idea, I wouldn't be all too surprised. I believe that maybe she was the one who suggested it, knowing that Sasha would be on board. And she wanted the Calamity Box to experiment with, seeing as the gems were not all too normal. Oh, we'll know later on whether she has a villainous side or not, due to the fact that King Andres is probably super evil and is now making Marcy an offer she probably won't be able to refuse. So while Anne tries to come up with this scary challenge, she finds a map of the castle with the basement part torn off, which I find interesting. Maybe King Andres tore it off because he didn't want people to know that the shadowfish have something to do with his family's dark past while they went to other worlds. Anyways, Anne suggests that they go there, though Marcy is hesitant, only for Anne to remark that Sasha would have done this. They agree and they decide to go to the basement. From there, Marcy's clumsiness kicks in and she falls all the way down to the bottom of the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs, there's a long hallway with a bunch of mirrors. Marcy remarks that in some cultures they use mirrors to fend off spirits, which is the exact reason why they're there in the first place. At the end of the hallway, there's a locked door that says, "Shadowfish, keep out," in Utopian spelling. Thank you, Roundtable, for helping me figure out what it says. Anyways, I like that they're using utopian spelling, and I also like how we are slowly getting introduced to this, so at the temple we might understand what it says if there are any of these ciphers, which again there probably will be. When they reach the door, they are so scared at this point, but their desperate need to not end up in the Book of Losers makes them pry open the door. They find all these coffins floating above the water. Anne and Marcy want to go back, but Sprig and Polly say that then, because they're scared, Marcy and Anne would have to go in the Book of Losers. Anne denies this, only for Sprig to tell them to prove it by taking a selfie with the creepiest coffin in the room. At this point, even Polly and Sprig realize that that coffin is creepy. After taking the forced photo, one of the shadowfish come out of the phone and then the rest arise. And by the way, these things can disintegrate frogs, so yeah, not the kind of place you want to have a sleepover in, or better yet, just be in general. As everyone tries to make a break for it, Sprig and Polly find an exit. Anne tries to make some sense out of this, only for Marcy to say, "We gotta get out of here, Scoop," and even Anne understands that reference. They run by the mirrors and a garden which has one of those moss man things. Due to the moss man being there, I wonder if King Andres' quote-unquote peaceful family really wasn't all too peaceful, and in fact they capture creatures from other worlds. You know, such as creatures from the Owl House. But I'm going to talk about that a little later. They also pass by a photo of King Andres and what I assume to be Sprig and Polly's mother. She has blonde hair and is red, just like Sprig. Now, this red thing they have going on could be because they're part Utopian, or maybe not. Now, at first glance, I thought this may be her as a polywog, but in truth, if you look, you can see a red foot. She probably was the same age as Sprig. There are a lot of things I would like to know about Sprig and Polly's mom. Like, was she a guardian of the gems, and then when King Andres wanted to use it for evil, she had to send it off to Earth, and due to King Andres being so upset, he killed her? Because, man, that would kind of be dark, but it would also make us hate him more, and it would be a little more interesting to see how his family is. Like, his family was very peaceful, but then he wanted power, so he became this evil ruler who no one knows is evil. Anyways, they open a hidden door that goes into Marcy's room in the castle. The spirits get into the room, and Anne fires some silly string at one of them. It phases right through them, and Sprig pulls up a mirror to try to dodge the silly string, and the light bounces off it and turns the shadowfish into something everyone can touch. After realizing this, Anne tells everyone to grab a mirror. When Anne looks in the mirror, she finally realizes that her hair has had leaves in it, something Matt Barley said he imagined she gets every new adventure. Now, I'm glad they finally brought this up, because I feel like these two leaves might have something important to do with the temples. Or maybe not, just saying. Flash forward, Anne says that they need to find Sasha, of which they may find her on the volcano. So, on the topic of Sasha, I'm going to now list what I think her powers are. Number 1, extreme amounts of strength and durability. Remember when she was fighting General Yunnan? Well, she was thrown to a rock. Now here's where the interesting part comes in. Instead of her hurt or weak, the boulder cracks. The big, hard rock cracked. So we know that one of Sasha's powers is enhanced strength due to it being on one of the pages of King Andres's book, but I never thought she would be that strong. I guess she's strong in an uncontrollable sense. Number 2, for powers, control over others. This one makes the most sense for many reasons. If you take Sasha's toxic, manipulative mentality and a gem of much power, you get mind control powers. We actually may have seen an example of this in Reunion. Every toad that was around Sasha and Anne had glowing red eyes. Her sword has also been shown to be red, like how Anne's sword can be blue sometimes, which all has to do with their gems. Now, there's one final selling point that can prove that Sasha will not have glowing red eyes, but in fact, she will make other people's eyes glow red. You know, in the intro of Season 2, the updated intro? Well, everything surrounding Sasha is red. Her eyes aren't glowing red, her sword isn't glowing red. No, the moon, the clouds, they all have red in them. It's clearly foreshadowing that Sasha will control everyone else, and everyone else's eyes will glow red, not hers. So, yeah. That's about that for that theory. Start things off, King Andres finds a book and it tells them the backstory on the box. Now, to the important part, he says it's a magical artifact that has been around for thousands of years, which basically destroys my theory on Sprig and Polly's mother being the creator of the box. Although, as I said earlier, I believe this person in the painting is Sprig and Polly's mom, and maybe she was a guardian of the gems. Right after that, he says that his ancestors used them to travel to other worlds. So we know it can travel to more than one. So the Owl House and Amphibia having a crossover couldn't be impossible. Look at that one world that has purple water and orange land. That looks like the Boiling Isles. Think about it. Moose just lost her way home and may have one. Amphibia is basically a show about a teen girl in a frog world and can't find a way home. But wait, she just found a way. The Owl House also is about a teenage girl who ends up in a magical world, and even though she has a way home, yet she stays there. But wait, she lost her way home. They both have so many things in common. So here's something I've been cooking up. Imagine, Anne and Marcy find the temples, but Sasha invaded Wartwood and has made it very clear she is not on their side. So saying that, all they have is 2 full gems that work. So they open the box and the glowing box sends them to the Boiling Isles, and Anne and Luce team up to try to go back home. These 2 shows are different in design, but they can make it work, just like Very Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron. Plus, some interactions with Anne and Luce would be fun to see. You know, they could have like a sad part where they're talking about how they miss their moms and all this other stuff about being in a new world, and kind of bond over that. All parts of the book have a connection. Piece 1, this. It says 3 stars burning bright come from beyond to expel the night. Should they fight or embrace will determine all. This goes back to the mural of Anne, Sasha, and Marcy. Notice in the book we see 3 weapons. Well, they are the same ones they use in the mural. The bow and arrow being associated with Marcy, the 2 swords being associated with Anne and Sasha. The 3 temples have been seen throughout the outro, and King Andres said the book only revealed one of their locations. In an AMA, Matt Bradley said Sasha and Anne's next encounter would be volcanic. This means that temple is the volcano, which might mean that Sasha is impervious to heat. If Sasha had some elemental powers, then so would the other girls. For starters, I could totally see Anne having freeze breath. Marcy would be able to communicate with the nature. Seed and Marcy at the gates. There's also this part, and I don't know its name, so in the comments down below, let me know what its name is. And I believe this is the part where the tunes come from, shown by the music notes surrounding it. I think after they charge the gems, they'll need to crank this part or sing a specific song. Now, I believe they would have to say this poem, but a song would make more sense. Another key role that could play into them getting home is their weapons. Now, I don't know why, but I got the feeling we should be paying even more attention to them. We have seen Sasha and Anne's sword glow, but what about Marcy's crossbow? Or should I say, her weapon that we will see later, her bow and arrow. Each gem has a specific purpose. The blue one's is heart, something we have seen with Anne a lot. She has made friends in Utopia very quickly, and I believe her powers only activate when she is helping others. Like when she cried after the veggie monster destroyed the planter's house. After that, her eyes glowed blue and she had no problem fighting the monster. Oh, and that reminds me of the references in this part of the episode. There were so many references in this episode, like the electric eel from Best Fawns, the Kraken, Lily Pad Thai, Hot Pops Kane from Kane Crazy, Domino 2 from the Domino Effect, the Veggie Monster from Handy Ann, aka the episode when we saw Anne's eyes glow for the second time. That's my review and breakdown of the episode, and with that starts a new hiatus for Amphibia, so let me know in the comments down below what you think about this episode.